Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. It's me Gamerturk and this is my first impressions video for Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet with absolutely no spoilers. I know I'm a bit late, but my collector's edition arrived slightly late, but you probably don't care about that. What I do here on my channel is early on, after a couple of hours of gameplay, I do my first impressions video for those who are looking for a quick opinion on the game, and after I complete the game, along with all the additional content aside from just the main campaign, I do my ultimate review where I go in depth as to how the game fares overall with no stone unturned. If you're watching this video in the future where I have already done my ultimate review, then you can probably click on the icon on the upper right corner to watch that instead as a more thorough review, or it will also be in the end cards of this video, so you can just watch through this one and click that one afterwards. But without further ado, let's begin. If you haven't figured out from the trailers, Fatal Bullet, taking place in Agile Online, is quite different from the previous Sword Art Online games that came out before. Dimps' first SAO game is a third-person looter shooter. I will talk about the presentation of the game first and follow it up by gameplay specifics, so feel free to skip ahead if you are not interested. Don't worry, there won't be any spoilers anyways. As I reiterate everywhere, Fatal Bullet is the first Sword Art Online game that feels like a proper game rather than a visual novel with gameplay attached like the previous ones. We have in-game cutscenes. Visual novel parts are portrayed with the in-game models, allowing pretty much everyone to be on screen if needed to keep the dialogue flow going instead of swapping the on-screen characters constantly, which is a welcome addition in my opinion. Though, from a story standpoint, the story picks up way too late in the game. The game welcomes you with an overblown tutorial / exposition dump, which is never ideal for a game. And even when you're done with that, there is barely any story for a long while aside from go to these dungeons and kill stuff to power up your Arphasis, Arpha being your AI companion in the game. It is such a simplistic thread of instructions that pretty much every character interaction that comes your way feels tacked on, because there is literally nothing to get these characters to interact with you. Without spoilers, I can't go into too much detail. Not that there is too much to spoil in these early sections of the game, but every time you encounter a character through the story, it all feels like they are just there for the plot to move forward. It just does not feel natural. I'm not talking about the main cast with Kirito and co, they just hang around to help you since your Arphasis is a key to accessing to a certain content in the game, but the game exclusive characters, specifically Zeliska and Itsuki, definitely makes you question as to why they are so involved with you. They just appear, they tell you stuff, and they instantly disappear. The relationship we have with these characters does not feel natural, and neither does their affinity with us. Both Zeliska and Itsuki act like they really care about us and like as if they were very close to us, yet nothing that happens in the story of the game warrants such a close connection. And while the game advertised itself with the importance of your decisions and that they would have effects in the world, I have to tell you, your dialogue choices offer only minor differences in dialogue for a single sentence. There is only one meaningful true decision in the game, and even then it is arguable how much of a decision that actually is when the game offers a true ending if you meet certain conditions. As for the game part of the product, Fatal Bullet won't be offering you the grand and expansive game feeling that you may have had with the Hollow games, especially Hollow Realization. The individual worlds are not as big as Hollow games, and most of the time you will be spending your time in enclosed areas instead of the open outside areas. Pretty much everything happens in dungeons in this game. As for the gunplay itself, obviously the level of polish and the feeling is not on par with top tier games like The Division. It will most certainly feel clunky at certain parts, but that is kind of understandable. This won't really become a problem with stationary enemies, but most of the time you will find yourself switching to the blind fire mode when the enemies are moving fast on consoles, since the sticky aim does not really cover it. And as for the flying enemies, there just comes a time when you just decide to go fuck it and avoid flying enemies overall due to their erratic and unpredictable movement along with the ineffectual sticky aim in place. Aside from these specific issues, there are tons of weapon types in the game, and surprisingly, they all function perfectly well with one exception. Many people will want to wield a sword when playing as a Sword Art Online game, but that won't be an easy task in Fatal Bullet. One would imagine swords being the most agile and responsive weapon type in the game, being a high risk, high reward weapon. The problem is, swords are pretty much the opposite of that in Fatal Bullet. They are relatively slow, feel incredibly sluggish because you always have to wait until your attack animation comes to an end before you can do anything else, which is not really optimal since bosses hit really fast and really hard in melee ranges, and the fact that there is no lock onto enemy feature in the game, most of the time you will be missing your enemies when you're slashing your swords. Once you unlock sword skills, which as a side note, they shouldn't really exist in GGO, you will get some upper hand against enemies, but then again, sword skills also emphasize the problem with the melee range enemy attacks. Most of the time, the boss will probably hit you before you're even done with your own skill, which is heartbreaking as a sword user. As for the technical issues, I cannot say anything about the PC port of the game since I play on PlayStation 4, though very commonly on consoles, on intensive scenes, you will often get minor slowdowns and from time to time even major drops in performance if there are too many effects on screen. I really hope these issues get patched, considering this shouldn't be the level of performance a game like Fatal Bullet should be having. The enemies spawn based on proximity, so not many of them are rendered at the same time. The graphics / textures are not really on AAA levels. I mean, if the Division or Destiny can run perfectly stable frame rates as such graphically intensive games, I would assume Fatal Bullet should be able to run without dropping below 30 FPS. But then again, Fatal Bullet just received a patch today, just before I was starting to record this, so that promises some performance improvements. I am not exactly sure how much of an improvement it is, but we'll have to see. Again, the game is being supported by DIMPs, especially with 3 DLC episodes planned for the future, so even if they weren't patched out in this specific update, I assume they will be ironed out in the long term. But then again, that's already been long enough for a first impressions video. If this was helpful, make sure to leave a like. If you have further questions, ask them in the comments and I'll be there to reply. If you're watching this at a time where I already have my ultimate review uploaded, feel free to check that out for a more in-depth review. If you enjoy my content, supporting my channel on Patreon or sponsoring here on YouTube through the links below helps the channel immensely. You can also find me on facebook.com/Gamerturk and on Twitter @Gamerturk95. Subscribe and hit that bell icon for future videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.